saving, investment, financial system. If you recall our first identity, remember GDP, you can figure it out in two ways. Total income, society equal to total expenditure. And we break down the total expenditure in four components: household consumption, investors' consumption, should investment, and this is closed economy now, but with no government. Then we have government, and we're going to have G, government expenditure, and we have a foreign sector. If we do trade, then we're going to put net export in there, the net amount of money that foreigners spend on our economy. And this identity is old for the whole economy. We're going to touch on this quite a bit. Okay. Let's just see what we're going to do on this chapter. What are those main types of financial institution in U.S. economy, and what is their function? Financial institution, but banking is one of them. Banking system, which is pretty huge here, right? You see banks in every corner you go, right? Just like gas station. What they do? What are those three kinds of savings? What is the difference between saving and investment? Okay, saving and investment are two different things that we're going to talk. And how does the financial system coordinate saving and investment? Okay. And how do government policy affect saving, investment, and interest rate? Okay. As you notice here, we don't mention, foreign sector. They're assuming it's closed economy, which is no NX. Okay, if we use our equation, which means no NX. Financial system is a group of institutions in our economy that help match someone's saving to someone that want to invest. Okay, let's say I make $1,000. I spend 800 of it, okay, on my consumption, on my tax, or whatever, and I end up with $200 extra. Okay, this is my saving. Okay, then I can do different, 3 different ways with my saving. I can go put it in a bank and get a little interest, or also interest rate is 0 these days. But leave it there. And the bank's kind of intermediary here. What they do, they go turn around and see if somebody want to borrow that money to invest. And that's why you see kind of in the beginning the difference between saving and investment. And that somebody that needed that $200, let's say buy a laptop for his business, but he doesn't have money, then he can borrow that money, okay, which is my saving. That's one way to channel saving towards investment. That's one way. Okay, we're going to talk about all different ways of how we do this in our whole account. Okay. Then financial institution through which savers can directly provide funds to the borrowers. Or, for example, that I use my $200, I can, when I put it in the bank, I don't know who is going to borrow that money, right? Banks knows, but I don't know. That's indirect, right? Or I can directly go lend it to somebody. And then I know who I did lend it to, or how that can happen, how that can happen. Then we're going to use stock market, we're going to use bond market, and which the lender know exactly, the saver knows exactly where their money is. Okay. Those are directly. Institutions through which savers can directly provide funds to borrowers, call it financial intermediaries. Okay. All right. Let's just talk about these. Just glance through here. Financial markets, savers can directly provide funds to the borrowers. Okay. And there's two kinds. One is bond market. One is the stock market. Okay. Well, you're kind of familiar with stock market, right? It's market. What is market? Remember, we have the definition of the market. Bunch of sellers or buyers go interact. Numerous of them, bunch of them, right? But what is the commodity here now? Remember, like a farmer's market. Bunch of buyers go there, bunch of farmers go there, just buy, sell particular product, which is, produce, right? Or automobile market or real estate markets. For financial market, people, they have to have extra saving, extra money to go there to lend it, to sell it. People that they need that money, they go there to buy it, okay, or borrow it. But the basic foundation of the market also apply in here. Supply demand. Supply is the loanable fund and comes from the saving of the society, from people who save. And borrowers are the investors. They go there, borrow money that, fundable, loanable fund. And what is in between them? What is the price here? What is the price of the money? Now we're going to use interest rate. Okay, interest rate is kind of obstacle between buyers and sellers, or the price of the money. The price of the money. If somebody comes say, okay, I give you 20% if you lend me $1,000. So wow, that's 20% is very good, right? Then I try not to reduce my consumption, C part, and save more and give it to the person and make 20%, right? If somebody says, I give you 1%, I say, well, no, it won't worth it. Then this, just like the price of commodity, right? If the price too high, the buyer don't buy it. If the price too low, the buyer's buying it. Interest is too high. It's too high. Sellers want to sell it. Savers want to save it, but borrowers don't want to borrow it, right? That's the yin yang of the market. In loanable fund, in the market, that money here is, treated like a commodity. All right, everybody got the whole lot, right? Now, there's different kind of institution, as we said, indirectly, like banks. You go put your money in there. If interest rate is 0, why should I just put my money in the bank? It doesn't worth the hassle to go to the bank and deposit and come home. And whenever I want to do something, I have to go to the bank, deposit a check and all that. I might just do my transaction with my cash and keep the extra money around, right? But if they pay more interest to my saving, then I said, well, I'd rather leave it in there. Okay, that's indirect, and let them handle it. Let them do, lend it to someone that they want to. They charge them interest rate, right? Or bond. What is bond? Bond market is a place the borrower go borrow money. Okay, talking about big time money, like City of Arlington. Let's say they want to make a high school, right? They don't have money, right? They usually borrow money from people, right? Then they're going to issue a bond. It's a piece of paper. It has 3 information on it. Say, okay, I'm the City of Arlington. I need $1 million, okay, or $10,000. It just depends. The price is in here, okay, for 10 years, okay. whoever comes give me $1 million here, I give him an interest rate. Okay, and there is three information here: the principal, how much it is in that piece of paper, and maturity for 10 years, 15 years, 30 years, or permanently, perpetuity, and interest rate. Okay, a lot of millionaire rich people in Arlington, they said, okay, well, we're going to help the community, and Arlington want to build a city want to, Arlington want to build a high school, and let me just give them the money, and I get the interest rate. Okay, I get paycheck every month or every year. They just send me interest rate, and after 10 years or whatever it is, this maturity date, I go return it and get my $1 million back. Okay, this is bond. This is bond. Okay, the borrowers need money. They issue bond. Where they go? To the bond market. Okay, cities, municipals, federal, they always borrow money, and corporation too. Like let's say AT&T running short on cash. They need money. They issue bond. They go sell it here. Okay, corporation do it too. How about the stock market? What is that? Okay, stock market is here you partially own the companies. Let's say Microsoft need cash, and he comes and says, I want to issue 1 million stocks. Okay, like Uber, like Lyft, they did it last year, right? They needed cash, and they want to go public. They said, okay, we want to issue stocks. We issue million stocks, right? And price him, let's say $70, $50, $70 each. Okay. Some people have money. Somebody got $2,000 sitting aside. They said, okay, I'm going to buy these stocks here. I get 10 of them. Where do you go buy it? You go to buy it from the stock market. Okay. Again, the market, buyers, sellers go there, buy, sell particular item. In this case, it's the stocks. Okay. These people disconnect the savers and investors in society, right? The savers are those people who have money on the side, don't need it. Okay, instead of going to gambling or going vacation, they said, oh, okay, I might just now skip the vacation this year and go buy stocks, right, for my future. I go up. And over just selling all this and collecting billion dollars, whatever they want to do, expand, build facilities or whatever it is, and they connect saver towards investors. Okay, that's another way to do it. All right. And financial intermediaries, we just touched on that. Banks, okay, are one. People go put money in the bank, but they don't know who's going to borrow it. Okay, indirectly, they savers. Indirectly, somebody come borrow this money from the banks. They connect it somehow through the banking. But the mutual funds kind of like banks, but is a little bit different. Is the institution sells share of the company, the mutual fund, to the public and use it. It collect those money and they go invest it. And then when you buy mutual fund, you give him the money, and the mutual fund manager, he goes invest it for you. Okay? They usually go buy stocks, bonds, or real estate, whatever it is. If they make money, then they kind of divide it between the members, between the mutual funds holders. Okay? That's a little bit different than banks, because here you know kind of where your money is. Okay, you know the guy, but the banks, you just put your money in there, get interest. That kind of give you introduction to this financial system that we have in our society. Okay, I mean every economy nowadays, a different part of the world, they have the financial system and how it functions and all that, right? Okay, let's go back to our accounting identity. This is the identity here, right? Total income equal to total expenditure, income on left side, expenditure on the right side, and we all know about this, right? Talk about all this. Right? All right. We're going to use this to just do some calculation, some numbers. Now, let's do a little bit maneuvering in that identity. Okay, let's say assume we are closed economy, which is no NX. Okay, then we end up with this, right? We just eliminate NX. Okay, then let's do a little bit maneuvering. Keep the I here and take the C and G on the other side. Okay, which is investment equal to investment expenditure equal to total income of community. This is total investment expenditure equal to total income of community minus what consumers or households spend to live minus what government spends to live. Okay, that's the rest of it would be investment expenditure. But where does this expenditure come from? Okay, that's what we're going to talk about, right? From national saving. Okay, from national saving. By definition, what is national saving? National saving, okay, let's say individual saving. Individual saving. Say I make $1,000, I spend $800 on my consumption, the leftover, we call it saving. Okay. Well, national saving, which whatever the total community makes, minus whatever they spend on consumption goods, minus what government spend on consumption goods, the leftover would be a national saving, right? Okay. But look here, look here. Look this side here. Let me put it in red. This side here is equal to this side here. Okay, then the other side must be equal also, right? When two sides of the equation are equal, the other side must be the same too. Then we come up with this second identity. We say national savings should be equal to total investment expenditure in the society. Okay, or simply we say S equal to 1. That's another identity. Again, not much mathematics involved in here. We just use kind of logic, use the definition of these variables to come up with this identity. All right. Total expenditure on investment must be equal to whatever total income of society is minus what they spend by household minus what is spent by government. The leftover which should be expenditure on investment, right? Then the definition of saving is what total income of society is, whatever they spend minus government spend, that's the save, that's the leftover. Then this should be the same because this side of the equation are equal. Okay. All right. We do some practices to make this more clear here. Now let's bring tax in here too, okay? Because government spend money, right? Government spend money, but where does the government get that money? Okay, he's not into entrepreneur or business in making money. He's into just spending on public things like roads, like army, schools, and so on. But where do you get that money? It's from the tax. Now, we do a little bit more maneuvering here. Okay, remember we come with that identity here. National saving, S, is total income of society minus consumption minus by household minus consumption or expenditure by the government, right? We came up with this. Now, let's add a T, tax, to this equation on the right side. We add one positive one and one negative one. They cancel each other out, right? They cancel each other out, but we still have this identity. S equal to Y minus C minus G, right? Okay, now let's put them in different parentheses here. Okay, we put one on this parenthesis here, right? Plus rest, we put it on this parenthesis here. Now we divide it in two, okay, in two. Why did we do that? In reality, we separate these two sectors, private sector and government sector. Private sector saving would be the first one. Okay? Whatever private citizens, consumers, households, whatever you want to name it, make, which is why they pay tax, they consume, they spend on consumptions, right? The leftover, we call it private saving. Okay? Private saving. Government get this tax, you spend some money, okay, on whatever they do, right? G. The leftover, we call it public saving. Pretty simple, right? Again, not much mathematics here involved, but you just have to see the connection between all these variables. The definition, the logic of it, it gives us this definition here. Private saving is the part that private citizens, households, put money aside after they pay their taxes, after they pay for their consumption goods. Now, government take the taxes and spend money on their whatever agenda is. They might or might not end up with positive number. Okay? In our case, most of the time this is negative. Okay? Why is it negative? It means they take tax, okay? They go spend money more. They spend it all, okay? They go borrow more money to spend, okay? Sometimes our households do the same thing. The guy might make $100,000, okay, and pay taxes, 10,000, and he got 900,000. He goes spend it all, plus he go borrow another 10,000 and spend it. This could be negative also, okay? All right. In reality, it happens, especially on case of our government. Sometimes it could be positive. Okay? It could be positive. Government get taxes, okay? He doesn't spend it all. Then he keeps some of it, right? Or sometimes it's in balance. We call this budget. Government budget is balanced. You probably heard it in the news. You know, oh, government's deficit, which means he borrowing. He spend more than what the tax bring in. Or surplus. In this recent era, we've been always negative, except Clinton era, we have balanced budget. Okay? Or it could be deficit. Let's just talk about that a little bit here. Budget. If T minus G is positive, then we have surplus. Okay? If it is negative, then we have deficit. Okay? If it's balanced, which means that's the zero. Okay? Meaning of saving and investment. Okay, then we talk about private saving, income remaining after household pay their taxes and the consumption. Examples of household do with that saving, they can go buy corporate bonds, we talk about, or buy stocks, equities the same way, or purchase of a certificate deposit at the bank, or which means they put in the bank, get interest for it, or buy a share of mutual fund, or accumulate a saving or checking account. Okay, these are the way we just talked in the beginning of the chapter, how people, allocate their saving in different venues. Okay, investment is different. These two, saving investment is different. Okay, what is investment then? Okay, investment is not the same as saving, right? Although our identity shows it is equal, but it's not the same. These are two different things, right? People save, okay, national saving, it will channel to the investment. Investment is when the entrepreneur, the manufacturers go, buy buildings, buy equipment, to build up their manufacturing or facilities to make futures idle. Okay, this is the big difference between these two channels. Okay, the investment is the purchase of new capital. Okay, like Pizza Hut want to open another one, right? Then you gotta buy building, you gotta buy equipment, and just buy it up to be able to make more pizza. Okay, example is General Motors want to spend $250 million to build a new factory in Flint, Michigan, right? These are investment. Okay, investment is not the purchase of a stock and capital. Okay, remember that. Buying a stock and buying capital, you save money. Now you want to invest your money. You go buy capital. You go buy stocks. That's not investment. Okay, remember that's you're saving. Give it to whoever you bought that stock for, Microsoft. You give it to them. They go invest that money. Okay, I want you to differentiate here between these two. All right, what else? Now, let's look at this market for loanable funds. Remember, any market, right? Any market, you put the price on vertical, on horizontal, put the quantity on horizontal, and you have supplier and demand. Supply and demand, right? They go interact, they come with one equilibrium, whatever the price is, but we are so used to commodity. But what is this market? Loanable market, loanable fund market. You put loan here, okay? Amount of money that people want to borrow, amount of money people want to lend. And you put interest rate here, okay? Let's say there is just one market, one interest rate. Of course, there's so many different loanable fund market, but let's say assume all of them is one. There's one interest rate, and there's one institution that savers go put their money in there, and investors go borrow that money in there. Okay. Okay. Let's just go here. Assume only one financial market. Okay. Let's do that. Supply of loanable fund comes from saving. Okay. We just talked about that. It comes from the saving. Who are these people? The savers, the households. If interest rate is, let's say, 3%, 60, let's say, $1 billion available in the market from everybody in our community. They have extra money. They want to just lend it out. They want to lend it out. They just put it in some place. They say, we want to borrow this money. I'm here. Give me 3%. Now, if the interest goes up, well, more people want to come save. Okay, they want to save. But they said, oh man, it's lucrative right now. They pay me double, right now, let me do more. As interest goes up, so does the loanable fund available. It's a supplier. Okay, you're moving along the curve. Say, look at the demand. Who are the demanders? Okay, those are investors. They want to borrow money. Of course, like any other market, they want to have lower price. Law of demand, law of supply. Remember law of demand. Uh, the price go lower, they come in. Okay, they want to borrow more. Okay, the price goes higher, they're moving along the curve. They don't want to borrow as much, right? Uh, okay, it's just like supply demand market that we did before, but here the commodity is different. It's loanable fund, right? Okay, let's just talk about here. Now we put them together to come in equilibrium. Let's say at 5%, $60 billion loanable fund is borrowed and lent, or money was saved and channeled to the investment expenditure. Okay, just like any other market. Now, we want to see if the government do some policy, how is going to affect this market? How is going to affect this market? Okay. Let's say government give tax incentives to the savers. Okay, let's say government comes say, if you, well, if you put, let's say somebody has $100,000, he buy a CD or he buy a bond. That's his saving, right? And to make money at the end of the year, maybe you make 10%. Okay, you make $10,000. Government tax that just like an income. So you make $10,000 and you got to pay 30% tax. Okay. Now, if government want to make people save more, he give them incentive. They said you don't have to pay 30%. Okay. I knock it down to 2%. That if the interest didn't change, but people now want to save more. Okay, because now they get tax break. What that do to our model is shift the supply curve to the right. When you shift it to the right, okay, it makes the loanable fund more available. It's good for investment in society, and the interest rate goes lower. Okay, that's one way to look at it. Saving incentives makes the interest rate go lower and more loanable fund available. Okay, let's see. How about government comes says to borrowers, the entrepreneurs, okay, if you want to invest in city of Arlington, like happened to Dallas Cowboy football stadium, they said you come here, you don't have to pay tax in 5 years, for example. Or New York said to Amazon, if you come here and build a facility in New York, you don't have to pay tax for 10 years. Okay, this is an incentive. Then it makes cowboys go borrow money and invest more. Okay, build a new stadium. Okay, it shifts the demand curve for loanable fund to the right. Okay, when that happens, as you see, the loanable fund, the investment goes higher. Okay, remember saving and investment. There's two sides of the one coin. Okay, they equal. Okay, if that goes up, and also in this one, the scenario, if they give him investment incentive, the difference is interest rates go higher. Okay, interest rate goes higher. For loanable fund also, or investment, they both increase. Then the budget deficit crowd out the market. Okay, which means government has to go borrow money to take care of that deficit. Okay, and what crowd out means, it has to go compete with private sector to borrow money and makes the interest rate goes up. Or we can say they shift the supply of the loanable fund to the left. Okay. All right. Just remember that crowd out what that means. All right. Let's just glance through here. fiscal policy and saving. Fiscal policy, fiscal policy means government expenditure. G is dealing with G. Monetary policy means government dealing with money supply. Money supply. But here we're dealing with fiscal policy. Okay. Let's say sustained tax, and only way the government can finance his G is taxation or go borrow money, right? Sustained tax and spending policy that boost consumption in ways that reduce the saving rate are likely to lower long-run living standards. Okay, that's kind of a mouthful sentence here. Okay, just glance through that. Most economists agree on that. Okay? They don't want too much up and down on government expenditure. Okay? They want to kind of keep it in a stable. Okay, but like this case right now, government spending a lot of money, right? Probably you all heard that. Mom, dad getting $1,200. If y'all working too, you get $1,200 check. Probably you already did. Some of you might. And where those money come? The government expenditure. They give money to everybody, right? This is because we're facing this phenomenon, right? And they have to do it. But to keep it stable, boost consumption in a way that reduce the savings rate are likely to lower long living standard. Okay, that is true. Okay, that is true. All right, most everybody agree on that. Well, what is debt or government debt? If government now is in debt, it has to borrow a lot of money to take care of this virus this year, maybe next year. Or if we go to war, we did the Iraq and Kuwait war, we spent $4 or $5 trillion. They have to borrow money. World War II, World War I, this is government debt. It built up. Guess how much our government owes money right now? He's in debt. He's in debt. If you Google it, there is a site. It keep changing every second. Every second, it changes. We owe over about $20 trillion. Okay, we owe $20 trillion, which means we got to work 1 year. That's our GDP, and do nothing with it. Don't spend it, nothing, and give it to our lender, whoever lend us money, then we will break even. Okay, that's the government debt. Government financial deficit by borrowing, selling government bonds. What does that mean? Government sell bonds to borrow money. Okay, whoever get hold of those bonds, federal bonds, got to take it to the government and says, give me my money. Okay, that's how much you told me you owe me, and expire in different times right now. Now, the ratio of government debt to GDP, let's just look at it at the chart. This is pretty interesting here. Look, from 1791 to 3 centuries here, the percentage of the GDP that government owes, 40% of the GDP government owes in 1791. Okay, it shrank. The only time we didn't owe nothing was 1831, 1851. The cause of this jump is mostly war. Okay, this is a revolutionary war. This is the Civil War. This is a World War I. The biggest one was World War II. We have 100% of our GDP we owe. We were in debt. The whole government was in debt. Then we tried to bring it down. We bring it down. Then we came to era. This is the only time we went up, not because of the war. And Reagan did this. He borrowed a lot of money, cut taxes, the government kept going in debt, right? And after that, the next one was Great Recession. Okay, he borrowed a lot of money. Okay, just 2000. 2008, right? Look, and guess what? We went down again. Now you see where we at? We're probably here right now again. Because of the corona, it just shoot up. Okay, this is another thing if y'all want to just do something with your assignment. Okay, this is a good chart here. Most of the time, the government debt caused by war, except the Reagan era here, and another phenomena is going to be this one we did, crisis that happened not because of the war, and now we got the third one happening because of the coronavirus. Okay, I guess we're about done here. Just glance through the summary and conclusion and all that. And when we go to money and banking, we're going to talk more about interest rate and Federal Reserve Bank, what is their function in our economy in later chapters.